Hello and welcome to Self-Critical, where a group of agoraphobic friends come together to RP actually going outside. I'm your humble dungeon master, Andy Purcell, and this is our group of agoraphobic friends, Scott, Wendy, Austin, and Stone. Say hello, hapless heroes.
Hello, hapless heroes.
Last time we left off, we were in the midst of what would have been an interrogation with the Kinku kettle steam, if not for one quick comment brought on by one of them, a name that ended any need for persuasion or intimidation checks. As the name Veneer was mentioned, Kettle Steam did not want any of that business, so they immediately fell in line and wanted to rather deal with you instead of them. One of the things, and you guys, any of you can make this. You can make this choice for your character, on your own. In your life, would you feel you've been acquainted with or familiar with the Kinku race? Like, if you feel you would know anything about them at all, you say you can, say you do. But if you don't, that's fine. I would like for each of you to make either perception or insight check. If you feel you would know that race, then you may roll it with advantage.
Being very possible.
Up to you, your choice.
I'll say yes.
11 insight, so after proficiency.
Mine's an 8.
I'll do it inside with advantage.
19 perception.
Okay.
21 insight.
21 insight.
13.
Okay. Well, so whenever you guys entered the tent, you were in pursuit of a young man. You are aware that this Kinku has the ability to shapeshift or at least change appearance. And whenever confronted inside the tent, this Kinku began talking to you in a very, in Candlefoot's voice, the voice of a man. But with those high rolls, your perception and with your insight, you was able to tell based off of the look of the Kinku and with Onyx based off of the mannerisms of this creature. Even though this is the voice of a man, you're beginning to pick up this is actually a female Kinku. Just one of deception and trickery, so they don't normally have their own voice. You would have to just pick up on that. But they have been inside of this tent, they've been covered up. But now that things are starting to settle down, you've had a moment to talk, you're beginning to pick up on these slight mannerisms. If we recall, Kettle Steam was beginning to talk about potential plans for figuring out how to get information or access to Prismeer from the owners of the Witchlight Carnival. She feels they would know a way, but has held that from you guys. And so as this was happening, right there at the very end, something caught her attention. A loud blaring across the carnival, signifying that the big top extravaganza is going to be happening soon. It just sort of lets everyone know to kind of start meandering that way. And with that, at first you think that's what catches her attention, but then some of you, if you could, you don't even need perception checks for this one, you hear a ruckus outside, and she begins to immediately try to just hide amongst the things. She's just naturally fearful of being caught, even amongst you guys. She is about to make a stealth check. If anyone wants to make a stealth check, as you hear something very loud and ruckus rapidly approaching this tent.
Sister.
Does that mean you're not going to stealth on your own?
No.
Okay, you may assist her. She will roll with advantage. She'll take that first roll with a natural 18. That's definitely going to be good. What kind of stealth checks do we have? Whoever wants to stealth. You don't have to if you don't want to.
I'm doing a 19 again.
Okay.
20.
You get advantage because you're in the. It's nighttime.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
Mine's 20.
20?
Instead of my sister, huh?
Okay, so you're just going to be in the tent and 17. So each of you quickly dart around. You anticipate something's about to happen. Someone's coming. You hear what sounds like it's just the jovial atmosphere of the carnival around the tent, and then you hear what sounds like a whole bunch of people showing up outside all of a sudden, and the voices catch up. You finally start to hear we've got some momentum now going, and then suddenly you hear another voice go, oh no, left, and then you hear another voice go, no, your other left, as you hear one of the voices go, hey, and then the other voices follow in suit, oh, ooh, and then the side of the tent that you guys are not hiding next to rips open as you see 5 little gnomes come tumbling in that were stacked on top of each other, and what looks to be a large red and blue striped star-spangled ball bounce off of the outside of the tent that they were running across of, stacked like a totem pole. It bounces away. They come tumbling down, and as the top one hits the ground last with a roll, he goes, why? As they begin patting themselves up. And they look around, realizing they messed up, and they hit the tent. And with a 17, anybody who's got lower than that on their stealth check, including Thunderstout, who's not hiding, they see you, and they didn't mean to be there as well. They pick themselves up. You just see just 5 little gnomes just scattering about themselves and just trying to get out of this tent. And they're just having a fun. They should be there as well. They're trying to get out. But as this happens, you see, since you're just standing there, you see through this hole, kind of a little bit of ruckus has been made. You see what looks to be a bugbear with like a big pumpkin on his head and kind of just overalls, and he's just walking around. And some of you may know that you may have seen him earlier. This is a bugbear named Burley. He would be known around the carnival. He's one of the close attendees or hands to Mr. Witch and Mr. Light. He's not normally seen far from them, and you see Burley just kind of walking around as he comes up to this tent and he sees the commotion. He goes, "Oh, you guys okay?" And then he looks up and he sees a particular yellow genasi. Did anyone roll less than a 19?
I rolled a 17.
17. So he sees a genasi and he sees a particular fairy. And as he sees the two of you inside this tent that you shouldn't necessarily be in, there's a whole bunch of gnomes in here that shouldn't be in here as well. And he's like, "Oh, move along. Get back out there." And he sees the two of you and he goes, "Oh, I've been looking for you too. Mr. Witch and Mr. Light have been informed that a few of you have really raised the spirits around here. I've been trying to see if I could get a hold of you before the big top extravaganza, as you can hear, is about to be starting soon. Is there anything you'd like to do in this moment?" As the 5 gnomes go teetering around the front, and then you hear them coming to the side and getting to their ball and trying to get it out of the way to get some momentum going again.
No.
I ask him, can we drop off what buttons I do have to the goblin girl? Her buttons got stolen?
Certainly. Oh, of course. I heard about that.
I found most of them.
Stole those just a minute ago. You found those that quickly. That is amazing. I'm so happy.
I couldn't find the jar though, but I found the buttons.
Well, I'm sure it'll turn up. Is there anything you guys would like to do while you're stealthed here?
I'm just gonna, I guess, being her be kind of close, I'm just gonna whisper to her, we're gonna follow them. And for a second, before we make ourselves seen. Stay with the thing. Mm-hmm. With what's her name? Kelstein. Yeah. Because the second she's like that, if no one's near her. Well, I think we're going to help her. But yeah, we'll stick back and talk to Kelstein as y'all walk off.
Okay. As he collects the two of you up, he ushers you out and begins to look around. He makes one more check because this is a staff area. You shouldn't be in. He looks around, and anyone with less than a 21,
that's all of us.
He looks around and he goes, "Wait a minute, there was supposed to be a group of 4. And then as he turns, not only does he see the 4 of you, he sees Kettlestein. With a roll of 21, he sees everyone in this tent now. And as this bugbear, who is one of the hands, the direct hand of Mr. Witch and Mr. Light, sees the 4 of you, in a small closed carnival tent with basically carnival enemy number one, Kettlestein. He goes, "Now, wait a minute."
That's why I say we've caught up with Kettlestein and stopped Kettlestein from being a nuisance. We've been trying to fix all the problems they've been doing all this time. So we've got them to stop quit being a nuisance, but we've done some talking, and we would like to talk to Mr. Witch and Mr. Light with Kettlestein and try to figure out some stuff that's going on and let them know the reason why it was doing that.
Give me is there anything, does anyone want to add anything to this moment?
Who's Kettlestein? I was just picking up buttons.
Okay.
I was told to come in the tent. That's all I can say.
Right, you can roll a deception, you can roll persuasion. Does anyone want to assist anybody?
I'll assist him.
Okay, you can roll with advantage.
24?
He scored twice.
Oh, no,
What'd you get?
12
A
total.
12, okay. A 24. Okay, with a 24, you know, a lot of people just kind of follow the crowd, and you've got a handful of buttons. It's, you know, why not? Maybe you didn't know. That bird was hidden very well in here. You know,
I wasn't hiding.
He didn't, you was just standing here. There was a bunch of gnomes. Who knows what happens? With a 12, when you say you want to, like, he's come on good terms. He sought you guys out because you're have really raised the moods of the carnival, and Kettlestein has done everything she can to lower the mood of the carnival. With a 12, he doesn't think that going directly to Mr. Witch and Mr. Light is going to do anything for you. And whenever you mention this, Kettlestein chimes in also. With a voice that is just a mimicking of other voices they've heard. Actually, you hear the sound of Mr. Witch himself giving just basically a recollection of what you had heard last time. You know, like, listen here, there is nothing that can be said about what we've discussed. It would be best that you just enjoy your stay at the carnival. And she is just repeating what was told to her last time in Mr. Witch's voice. And the bugbear just seems, you know, in this moment, before I say what's about to happen next, there's 4 really good people and 1 really bad person in the bugbear. Does anybody want, and well, there's 3 really good people who may know that Kettlestein is here. 1 Genasi, who is obviously just here out of happenstance with a handful of buttons. A bugbear who's probably going to have to make some hard choices in this moment unless anybody wants to say or do anything before I make some rolls.
I mean, you want the truth? We've been solving a lot of commotions around here. I have no idea what's going on, but I was just told to come follow this guy.
Said we found out that there's a lot of old things going on that can't really be said out here in the public, that needs to be addressed and taken care of, and we want to do what's right for the park and get these situations taken care of, but we cannot be out here in the public with prying eyes and ears to the wall listening to what we got to talk about. If you would like to go to them and ask them if they'd be interested in talking to us, then we'll do it however you want to.
Okay. With a natural 20 on what I was going to see how he felt about this conversation, he blocks what would be the doorway of this tent with the fullness of his large bugbear body. It is already nighttime. The only lights coming in are through the carnival lights flashing occasionally. And he encompasses almost everything of this as he blocks anyone from being able to come in and out of this tent. And he looks directly past all of you to the Kinko in the back, trying to look weak, frail, intimidated. Burley says, "You You were right. And the Kinku looks with a cocked head, slightly confused. And Burley goes, last night, whenever you were ushered away, the other night when you were ushered away, and you said, just listen to me. Just listen to me. And the Kinko nods, yes, yes. It, sounding like Mr. Light for some reason. But Burley goes, after you left, it made me think, which is something I don't normally like to do anymore. But I stopped thinking, and then I listened. And I heard them talking about my brother, Hurley. And then they started talking as if, well, they know something. You're right. And so Burley begins to step in to the tent, and as he does, he looks behind, and he closes the flap behind him.
Still gaping hole.
He closes the flap of the tent behind him, right? But it's still gaping hole, yes, on the side where the gnomes had tumbled through. And he begins talking to you guys. In this moment, you feel like this large bugbear who is sent by Mr. Witch and Mr. Light kind of has had a revelation.
Got buttons.
Burley, he removes his jack-o'-lantern helmet, revealing a worried expression. Bad things have been happening at the carnival for a while. People and things have been going missing. People, well, my bosses, know more than they're telling me, but their hands are tied somehow. You're, well, the first people that I've met who might be able to set things right. And he looks over at Kettlestein, the one who's been causing all of this. If you've managed to be able to keep up with her, then we may have a chance of putting things right. But you'll need to talk with Mr. Witch and Mr. Light. They're the ones who would know any of these answers, but like I said, all of our hands are tied. I don't know why. You'll need leverage to make them spill the beans. And so, in this moment, there's sort of a strategy, right? The two of them, Kettlestein, talking in mimicked voices, talks about a couple of things. And then Burley mentions, was there anything you would like to ask in helping in trying to figure out some type of plan? I know some of you had some suggestions.
We should talk to, we should get the displacer beast into this.
Durlagon. Yes.
He should be able, he will be able to help because he's lost more, lost something important to him too.
A kid.
His son.
Okay. Anybody else?
I do gotta ask, before we get into this, we have been referred to as very special, very welcome guests for
I was just thinking about that too.
some reason. We don't know what that reason is. We've never met each other before. So what's going on? You may know.
Burley seems like he wasn't ready to answer a question like that. A lot of people who come here are special guests. We try to treat everyone that way. This is a magical place. Everyone here is special to some degree. So he's not quite sure what you're talking about in that context of the question.
That we were greeted as soon as we got here by Veneer and was given 4 free tickets and was explicitly told that they knew we were coming and all that jazz there.
Burley thinks for a minute and says, well, sometimes I've known of some of the more popular bards. They'll want to stack the seats, as one would say. They usually hang out at the feasting orchard and try to just get the people who just want to show up to eat, and they'll just sort of get people to come in. That might have been who paid for your tickets. I haven't been told who would have.
Not a problem.
Any other questions or any other thoughts about strategy? Kettlestein and Burley began talking, and they kind of compared notes, right? Because they're on either side of the same coin, right? Mm-hmm. And so they're finally getting what would be an interrogation, but is now a collaboration. And so you begin hearing mention of personal items. You hear Kettlestein mention, I've seen, and this is just you see, it's like the voice of a child. Mommy, look at the strange stick, as Kettlestein begins describing a weather vane that Mr. Light carries with him. He always knows when people's happy. And you hear a child say it. Then you hear what sounds like to be a middle-aged man say, "That is a mighty fine pocket watch," as Kettlestein begins describing what seems to be some type of pocket watch that Mr. Witch carries on him. And when she does, Burley chimes in, "Ah, yes, the Mr. Witch's pocket watch. That is definitely an interesting item. Now that you mention it, I have been thinking, there are many things that can tie the hands of a person in a place like this. And that pocket watch could cause the leverage you need to be able to get the answers. But these people are my bosses. I work for them. I can't help with that. I would lose my job. But I would love to see my brother again, as would Durlagon want to see their son.
We can probably get
As,
Durlagon to go.
Candlefoot would love to get his voice back from wherever it has gone." And so he begins to tell you there's different options at this point, right? You could stay. You could try to, he mentions he was sent to find you guys because you had raised the mood of the park to the point that he was told to find you. He knew where you were within the past 5 minutes. He was told to find you. And so he was looking in this area. He was going to give you an audience with Mr. Witch and Mr. Light right before the Big Top Carnival if he could find you. Mm-hmm. During the Big Top Carnival, he tells you that Mr. Witch and Mr. Light, well, they're both busy, but Mr. Light is the only one at the Big Top. Mr. Witch does his own thing, but he doesn't stay at the wagons. It is still guarded by a very gruff clown called Thaco. Don't want to mess with him unless you absolutely have to, but he's serious business. So there's a chance that you could try to just impress them, right? Be really cool, have a great meeting, and impress them enough for them to give you answers. You could go to the Big Top event and maybe have a way to interact with them. Maybe you just try to steal the watch or Mr. Light's weather vane, right? You are told that Mr. Witch's watch is attached to his belt. So someone attempting to steal that would need something like a knife or thieves' tools or something to cut that attachment, right? Just to even make the attempt. You could just try to, just get him to do it. However, Burley tells you he is not going to help beat these people up, and he can't be directly involved in this. And if you guys hurt them, he can't be on your side, right? Yeah. So with those options, right, I'm going to leave it up to you guys. What kind of strategy do you want to take? Do you want to try something direct and now? Do you want to try something sneaky during the Big Top event? If it's during the event, do you want it to be do you want to try to find and confront Mr. Witch? Do you want to try to just be stealthy and pickpocket him without him knowing? Do you want to sneak into the staff area to get access to their wagon while they're not there? Do you want to go to the Big Top Carnival and watch a show and participate and maybe interact with them and maybe do something there, but Mr. Witch isn't going to be there, Mr. Light will be? Or do you want to just hang out and have a meeting with them on their terms because they think you're really cool, right? Take a moment, think about that.
I have an idea. All of us go together to have a little meeting, and after the meeting, we get the bugbear to have an excuse for me and Dad to go walk off, because by the time we're done with the meeting, the big top's going to happen. So we're going to have the excuse of me and him are going to go give the buttons to the goblin.
Okay.
Then you break off and get the displacer beast and try to get him to help you get to the tent, since you're the stealthiest of all of us. And I'll give the goblin the buttons and head back to the tent. They're not going to think anything about it.
Which tent?
I'm going to head to the big top. You're going for
The wagon.
the wagon, sorry.
Okay. Okay. Well,
And
That's-
y'all two, just go towards the big top unless y'all got
And also the Kettlestein might can help, because me and Kettlestein can
Well, you
use
get
a
the-
little transform thing.
do you want to get Durlagon involved before or after you guys go have the meeting
after.
with Mr. Witch?
After, yeah.
Mr. Witch.
Yeah, we'll have the meeting, talk to them, and they're gonna probably be like, okay, the big top event is happening, go find your seats, and they'll be like, oh, I need to return these buttons to the goblin girl.
Okay.
At the Callipy,
Okay.
and bring Dad with me, and then he goes gets Durlagon,
Mm-hmm.
and then they go get Kettlestein.
Okay.
Yeah. That sounds like a fair enough plan.
Sounds like a pretty good plan. So you guys start hashing this out. There's only so much you can figure out until then. You do hear Miss Burley tries to give you a couple of pieces of advice. Things like don't be rude, be polite. Kettlestein mentions if in a voice that is it sounds like a wife arguing with a husband or something. Why do you have to be so direct? Insinuating that you don't want to go straight in for these questions or they're going to shut you down right away. And so you got a plan, and Burley opens up the side of the gate, the tent flap, and as you guys begin stepping out, give me a perception checks. It's nighttime, so you get advantage. It's nice and dark. You always get advantage in the dark, don't you? I'm assuming it is.
I get a.
You get advantage on stealth in the dark, right? I'll go with the advantage.
Well,
for
if
now,
I'm
but-
in the dark, I'm just invisible.
Right, but I'm talking about perception checks right now.
Yeah,
Do you
I
get any advantage?
No,
No,
I
don't worry
just-
about rerolling what you got.
A 3 and 11.
3 and
7
11.
plus 5.
What we got?
20.
20. Nah, okay.
14.
14,
And natural
20.
one.
So, with a dirty 20, as you guys go stepping out of the gate, something that kind of catches your eye is being a barbarian, being an elf, you notice things in low light. You notice things that the other races wouldn't notice for any particular reason. You notice another elf, a lady. What a human would assume to be maybe their early to mid teenage years, but she seems young. She seems to be enjoying herself. She's just a patron, but what you catch with the dirty 20 is that she doesn't have butterfly wings on her, which each of you would know at this point is to signify you have paid for a ticket, you have paid for your entry. And she's just enjoying herself. It's just a nice summer night. When suddenly, as she's just taking in the sights, you see her just pause and begin to list. And as she does, her arms just seem to slump to her sides as she looks. And she's near two wagons, and as she's here and as she's looking into the lights, a shadowy figure just seems to just almost dance gracefully from in between these two wagons. You see what looks like another elven woman, but it's the shadow of an elven woman. She's beautiful. She's graceful. She's wearing a mask. It's like a crescent moon across half of her face. And as she begins to gracefully step out of these shadows, it's almost as if she's beginning to dance with this woman who is standing still. She caresses her face, and as she pulls her hands up the sides, she reaches to a large, beautiful, bejeweled fascinator in her hair, unclips it, and with a dirty 20, a little grin, she holds it to the stars, and it vanishes as she recedes back into the shadows. And you just see the girl standing there, slowly coming back to consciousness, not sure what has happened. And with that, we will call it there and hopefully pick up next time with the mystery of what may have happened. Thank you for watching, everyone. Have a great night. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.